It's 7 p.m., so we will call the order. The Westfield Board of Zoning Appeals meeting. Please establish a quorum.
Mr. Buckfist. Dr. Keene.
Here.
Mr. Clarino.
Here.
Mr. Plummer. Mr. Buller.
Here.
We have a quorum.
We have a quorum. Thank you. Okay, approval of the minutes from the June 10th meeting, 2025.
I'll second it.
And we have a motion and a second. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Minutes are approved. We do have a public hearing, so please let's review the rules.
I actually forgot the rules and procedures.
Yep.
That's fun. Yeah, geez, I wish I remembered it. Honestly, if I had the first sentence, I could probably then remember it. Tonight's agenda that includes one item that's up for a public hearing this evening. Please mute your devices at this time. If you must if you must talk, please quietly exit the room. Hold on. I knew there was something I forgot when I didn't bring the folder. All right. I don't have the actual list of rules and procedures that we normally perform this morning, but I think everyone here is well seasoned, and as are we. I think we're well aware of the procedures this evening.
I see no audience, so there's no,
There's-
not going
and
to
there's
be
no
any
one from the
present,
public
so it's just a
actually
matter,
present.
could you just give the website, email address, just in
Yeah,
case
email
somebody-
address planners@westfield.in.gov. If you do have a public comment and you're watching online, please go ahead and forward that to us during the public hearing portion, and we'll read it out loud.
Okay, with that, we'll move on to the item of business. Item 2507-VS-09, 720 Liberty Drive. We have a request from a petitioner on a variance of development standard. So petitioner, or Dane, go ahead with this.
Yeah, I do have the introduction prepared for this. Good evening, members of the board. For the record, Dane Crabtree with the Community Development Department. The item before you this evening is a refiling of sorts for 720 Liberty Drive, and the request to increase the maximum building height from 25 to 33 feet to accommodate the expansion of an existing religious institution use is the same as was before the board at its May 13th meeting where the request was denied. As you may recall, at the board's June 10th meeting, the petitioner requested for the board to suspend two PZA rules of procedure, one so that the board was not required to adopt findings of fact, and another so that the petitioner did not have to wait 6 months before the same petition being placed on the docket for consideration. These rule suspensions were granted unanimously, and subsequently the petitioner formally withdrew their petition previously docketed as 2504 VS06. The petitioner has refiled their request and has also provided to the board additional exhibits for the record, which would not have been able to be presented to the board prior to the request to withdraw since the board had already voted. This item has been publicly noticed and advertised. The department has received no public comments. Dave Coots of Coots, Hinkey, and Wheeler is present this evening on behalf of the petitioner to make a short presentation.
Members of the board, my name is, for the record, my name is Dave Coots. I'm an attorney with the law firm of Coots, Hinkey, and Wheeler, located at 255 East Carmel Drive in Carmel. I'm a Westfield resident residing in Lantern Park, so I'm just a little bit south of the construction that's going on at Union and 32. I'm here this evening representing Cornerstone Bible Church, who is represented by Ryan Svedberg, the executive pastor of the church. And if there are any questions that I can't make up and answer, I'm going to defer to Mr. Svedberg. As stated, the developmental standards variance presented to you all merely relates to the height of the roof of the sanctuary that the church proposes to add to the existing building. And as you look at this drawing, this is the north elevation. To the left is the obvious east elevation and the steeple, the front. But you can see that the roof line that we propose to add to the new sanctuary construction conforms to the existing layout or outline of the already existing church facility. Without that variance to permit this, our structure would have a flat roof looking like this, which is inconsistent with the existing building and would also impact the inside of the sanctuary in terms of its appearance, feel. There will not be a vaulted ceiling in the sanctuary, but there will be obviously an elevated ceiling if we're permitted the additional height for the roof line. But like I say, it will not be an exposed beam, vaulted ceiling. So the purpose of the variance application really is to substantiate the appearance of the exterior of the building to be consistent with what it already exists. I sent too late in the process to get circulated to you photographs of adjacent properties. There is a daycare facility to the north of the church that is a two-story structure, and I'll just, oh, you, okay. It is there, and that is a daycare facility, and then to the west of that is a two-story real estate office facility. And so the appearance of what we're proposing will not be offensive to the surrounding area. There are also houses, as Mr. Crabtree points out in his report, that are permitted within the overall development to attain a height of 35 feet at the mid-roof line permitted by the ordinance. Our request is 33 feet. Were this a residence, and I'm of the belief that God may reside there, but anyway, were this a residence, it would be permitted under the existing ordinance. But because it is a church use and is not a residence as defined in the ordinance, we have to seek this variance. We meet the setback requirements for the height that we propose. There is nothing else about the site plan that will be affected by this construction, the sanctuary that we propose to add. And so we would ask that you approve our development standards variance to permit us to increase the height by 8 feet. The criteria is set forth in the ordinance for a developmental standards variance. As you know, that this approval would not be injurious to the health, safety, morals, general welfare. Because the existing use is already present, we do nothing to affect the surrounding uses, residential and commercial, nor are we impacting or changing our use. The value of adjacent properties adjoining the church, likewise, are not going to be negatively impacted by this height increase, because there are others already in the area that have that height. And then finally, strict application of the ordinance creates practical difficulties for us to construct and build the proposed sanctuary that we've submitted because of the exterior appearance of the building if we're not permitted to have the gabled roof consistent with what we already have. So we would ask that you, on those findings, approve our application, and thank you for your time. If there are any questions, I'm happy to answer them, or Pastor Swinburne.
what we will do is we'll go ahead and open a public hearing
Thank you.
and then come back for questions from the board members if they have any.
Very good, I'll sit down.
So with that, I will open a public hearing at 7:09.
We do not have any public comments at this time, and there is no one present for that.
I'm just going to wait, I'll wait 1 minute because we don't know if we have people watching online who may shoot an email in. Judging from the audience, it's probably not going to happen, but we always like to give that opportunity. It's a long minute. Anything?
We have no public comments.
All right. It is now 7:10. I will close the public hearing. Board members, any questions of the petitioner?
Just a comment, and probably more for our legal. We have no authority on the steeple, correct?
The UDO specifically states that steeples are not are not bound by height standards. Yes.
Just as a kind of a point of reference, looking at the north elevation, the top of the steeple is actually going to end up less than 16 feet shorter than the highest point of the events building in Grant Park. I realize that's not our consideration, and I'm not counting that, but it's going to be almost as tall as the community hospital over at 31 and 32. It's going to be somewhere around 5.5 to 6 stories tall. I took a ride through there today. As a member, I don't see how I can vote no. Do I think it's the right thing? No. I think it's going to look silly, and I think it's seriously going to affect the neighborhood housing.
Any other comments or questions from board members?
The steeple or the height of the roof that we're proposing?
The height of the steeple is going to be less than 16 feet high,
Tall, then,
approaching. Now just picture the Grant Park Event Center. It's going to be almost as tall. It's going to be less than the distance between me and you from the height of the event center. It's going to be nearly as tall as the community hospital at 31 and 32. It's going to be over 5.5 stories tall, almost 6 stories tall. If I were a resident of that area, I'd be going ballistic. Having said that, I can't vote no because we're not considering that.
Right, okay, thank you.
I think, just as a comment, originally, I think there's a different presenter, and questions were not answered clearly enough for us, and I think part of our concern, which is not germane to the actual variance, but kind of the community concern, is church has grown, and it's always nice to see churches grow. What happens in 3 or 4 years if you outgrow this facility? And again, that's not germane to the request itself, but I think that's part of what our thinking was, do you have to really add on here, or is this the time to go somewhere else because of the growth? So that's just to kind of clarify processes that have gone on in the past.
Understood, appreciate that.
If there are no other comments or questions, I'm looking for a motion.
Make a motion to approve 2507 VS 09 with the recommended conditions.
Motion?
I'll second it.
We have motion and a second. Any other further discussion? Please call the roll.
Dr. Keen,
Yes?
Mr. Bowler,
Yes.
Mr. Clarino,
Yes.
Mr. Bunkefest.
Yes.
Motion carries.
I am now looking for findings, a motion on findings of fact.
Make a motion to approve finding of fact.
A motion to approve findings of fact. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
And we have a motion and a second. Any comments, questions? Please call the roll.
Dr. Keen,
Yes?
Mr. Bowler,
Yes.
Mr. Clarino,
Yes.
Mr. Bunkefest.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your time.
That's all the items of business that we have. We are now into reports and comments. And I didn't look up anything. Billy, could you kind of brief us on last night?
Let me knock it out for you
Yeah.
real quick. Well, as the highlight of the meeting, Dane was conveniently absent as a reminder. No. 2 consent agenda items, both conducive to what we're doing. A few items of business ranging from a Grand Junction Economic Development Area, which as of yesterday, we believe to be allocated to the Jersey 32 PUD, both sent with recommendations to council. We also sent the Trailside Business Center PUD with a positive recommendation to council. I believe unanimous for all, don't quote me. 2 public hearing items, one for the 199th and Monon PUD. That'll be back before us in workshop. Pretty interesting project and product, if you guys want to look that up within the overall materials. And then we looked at the Wheeler Landing PUD, specifically Amendment 10 for the police headquarters. Also, if you have not seen those renderings, incredible building. So we, I believe, waived the workshop and took a vote on that Wheeler Landing PUD yesterday and sent that to council with a positive recommendation as well. One continued item from yesterday, even that is still the Town Road Crossing planned PUD to the west of town. And other than that, I believe we may even have a couple weeks off and we'll be reconvening APC in August.
Thank you.
Questions, comments, concerns?
I would say, if you go look at that Trailside Business Building, it's kind of a unique concept for Westfield. It's just on the south side of 32, north of the Midland, and it's just kind of exciting, the kind of businesses they can put in there, and the amount of commercial development in a relatively compact area. I think there'll be more like that. So.
You're familiar with the custom concrete side of town off of Oak Ridge. They did a really good job wrapping that development into the trail systems, into the actual overall viability of community amenities. It's pretty cool.
With that, any comments from staff?
Only that we will have a BZA meeting next month. We do have filings, so we will definitely have one in August.
Okay.
One thing, I don't know if this, I assume this is an error, on the top of today's agenda, you've got my term is 1/5/21. I was appointed on 1/5/23.
So I think what that is, the seat itself is the appointment, not necessarily the person. So that seat was appointed on 121. You just took over that seat later than that, and that's what we have to go by, is the seat, not the person.
Okay.
Okay.
So yeah, it's technically right, but I get why someone would be confused by that.
But it does say it ends 1/6/25.
Which means that I don't sit here anymore.
Just FYI.
Oh,
I haven't sat here since January.
We will get that corrected.
yeah. Thank you for
We'll make you count.
pointing that. Gotcha.
Okay. When do I cease to count?
It's probably
Of course, after talking about
1/5/26.
the steeple, I mean,
Yeah, no, I mean,
I may be out now.
That's why you haven't gotten a paycheck yet.
Ah, that explains it. Yeah.
at this point, the person just continues to serve in that role, in that capacity, until they're
Till they die.
reappointed, basically. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, there's a waiting list for these seats. And do I have a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion and a second.
Yes. I second.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Meeting is
Aye.
adjourned.
Adjourned at 7:19.
All right, now, where is
No, look at the agenda, look at the Plan Commission agenda.
so is it, would it be under that? Where would it be?
Go to, do me a favor.
Don't go in 24.
Top left, Westfield homepage.